for people to look at Fountain City or Kansas City the same way they look at St. Louis, Chicago, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, like all those great wrestling states.
Fountain City Pro was born, and you were here to see it.
So Fountain City, this is just the beginning.
My goodness! Oh my gosh!
But for Kansas City, Fountain City, professional wrestling is here to freaking stay.
Because this is your home. We're building a house, baby. This world is out. This has been a dream come true, a night that I'm never gonna forget. A night that everyone here will never forget. I got one question. You down with FCP?
What's poppin', y'all? It is your boy, Guard E3. And, of course, you know how it is. Ladies and gentlemen, next week, as you just saw, we have the Fountain City Pro Wayward Son Watch-Along. Hopefully you're there for that. So this week, naturally, we bring on the CEO of Fountain City Pro. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Chase Riley. How you doing, sir?
I appreciate that introduction, Britt. I'm excited to watch that with you next week, man. But I'm ready to talk some war games tonight, man.
No, absolutely. And I am too. I was so looking forward to War Games. So why don't we just get into it? We all know how we opened up War Games. If we didn't know, it was this past Saturday, some Survivor Series. And we opened it up with the women's War Game match. So I figure, why don't we just start at the beginning of the card? Chase, what did you think of our opening match for War Games?
I thought it was great, man. The women's War Games match, I want to say it opened up last year as well. And that they've just done a really good job with making it seem like it's important. Letting the women have their own opportunities to shine just as much as the men's War Games match does. I love watching the women's War Games matches, man. I love the different styles they throw into it compared to the men's. It was definitely a show stealer match, if you will.
I will say that right before the event, I did say that I think that this could very well, from a technical wrestling standpoint, be the match of the night. Just because when you put so many great talents in the ring at the same time, it normally works, and I definitely think it did here. I think Tiffany Stratton and Io Sky jumping off the cage definitely stole the show. But you're the perfect person to ask, because I'm really curious on what you think. Did the right team win, do you think? Obviously, the heel team had both champions and the Money in the Bank winner. Do you think that maybe that the team with both champions should have been the one to go over? Do you think they got this booking decision right?
I love it. I mean, it's not, because it's War Games and you have the different dynamics. It doesn't make Nia Jax look any weak because the other people in the match lost, or Tiffany Stratton, or Liv Morgan. Like I said, there's different more people in the match, so there's plenty of blame to go around. I wouldn't say that, my booking has my booking specifically has anything to do with like my decisions on that, because, my booking philosophy is, Brett, if the people went home happy, then what does it matter? Now that's, it's different because you bring up a very good point, for continuity and for criticism, so to speak, of a weekly episodic television show. Maybe, yeah, that wasn't the best booking decision to have your champions lose in a match like that. like I said, my booking philosophy is different, man, because we're not on that scale, that level, I guess. So my booking philosophy is well, if everybody went home happy, then who cares? And it was a great match, and everybody went home happy. So
No, yeah, for sure. And I know for this next match that there was absolutely nobody happier than the man who will be joining us later, Mo. Because his most hated op in wrestling, LA Knight, took on Shinsuke Nakamura and your new United States champion, Shinsuke Nakamura. And I'll be the first to admit that this one, I absolutely loved it. I thought it was overdue that we gave Shinsuke a title run. I thought this is something that should have happened when he was hot at WrestleMania 34, 6-7 years ago. So I felt like this was long overdue. Chase, what do you think about them throwing LA Knight, putting it on Shinsuke? Was this the right time? Do you think Nakamura was ready or due for one?
I would agree it was the right time. I think going into next year, I think you're gonna see LA Knight get a little bit of a spotlight push. I think that's why they did this early, and Shinsuke came back. He came back with a different theme song, different persona, if you will. A little bit darker character, more of a heel kind of thing. So I thought this was a great time to do it for Shinsuke, to kind of show people like, hey, like, I think the current bookers writing team kind of like Shinsuke, and want to see him showcased a little bit more.
I agree, and I think with Shinsuke too, if you really would have had him lose here, I think that would have done so much damage to his credibility, because last time we saw him harassing Cody Rhodes just for him to lose. I think you bring him back with another new persona and gimmick, and the first thing he does is lose again. I think that does a lot more harm than good for everybody involved. So I think it was great for LA Knight to get his title run, and now I think you start gearing him up for potentially challenging again for the world title. He's definitely over enough. I'll be the first to admit, I wasn't a fan of his in-ring work at first, but that's been growing on me. He's got a great connection with the crowd. What are the odds you think that we'll see World Heavyweight Champ LA Knight in the next year or two? Do you think they push him up to that next level?
I absolutely do. I mean, I didn't want to like jump the gun and say that, like, for it to be so quick. But I mean, like I said, it's a perfect time for him to drop the U.S. title, and then we give him a few months to build him up. I mean, I could see him winning the Royal Rumble.
Oh yeah, no, that would be fun.
Yeah,
him versus Gunther, I'd imagine.
Yeah,
I'm guessing
him versus Gunther in Vegas for the World Heavyweight Championship, and then Cody versus Orton for the WWE Championship, and then Rock and Roman. That's worth the trip to Vegas right there, just for those 3 matches, guys.
Do you think that it's gonna be? You think they're gonna have Rock and Roman at this Mania, or?
I think so.
It feels like they're kind of teasing Rock and Cody right after Mania.
Well, they teased Rock and Cody, and then you also have to think that they're kind of teasing us with Roman and Cody, and I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think since Rock didn't show up at the end of Survivor Series, I think it's very possible that The Rock will show up at the Royal Rumble, and I wouldn't be shocked if Rock costs Roman the Royal Rumble. No matter if Roman is in the Royal Rumble or if Roman is facing Cody for the WWE Championship at Royal Rumble, I could see The Rock costing him that match, and then that builds us to WrestleMania.
Yeah, I could see it too. I was just you can definitely tell The Rock definitely has Cody on his mind because I found it interesting that he didn't come out after Survivor Series when, the Bloodline team with Punk. But
Yeah.
when Roman teamed with Cody, he made sure to come out and at Bad Blood. And I'm not sure if that was just to kind of show his displeasure to the whole Roman
Yeah.
teaming with
Yeah.
Cody.
I felt like I felt like they would use Rock to kind of like come out and show his displeasure on like on the big show or the bigger show Survivor Series. Um, Obviously it didn't happen, but I think that's what they're doing. I think I think eventually you're gonna see Rock take the tribal chief. I think Roman will beat Solo for the 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 tribal chief. I think I think Roman will beat Solo to get his thing back and become the tribal chief again, and then Rock will step in to take that or to try and take that back.
It really feels I really think that that's probably all going to take place. It's funny because I'm sure The Rock will be there for night one in Netflix, but it really feels like that we're going to start overdriving this Rock and Roman rivalry at the Royal Rumble, and I'm completely looking forward to it. It would say
Absolutely.
this WrestleMania is going to be so good. It's tempting to try to find a way to go, but I don't think I'll be able to. But I'll definitely be right here to watch it.
Well, I'll tell you what, and I said this. I think we talked about this the last time I was on here. If you do go, maybe you can go and not do the uh, the WrestleMania. Sorry, I apologize.
Yeah,
I blinked out there. I think if you do go, you try and go and maybe not, go to WrestleMania, but go to kind of like some of all the indie stuff and WrestleCon stuff.
Mm-hmm. That's definitely something I want to do for next time I go to because hopefully I'll be able to go to a WrestleMania again. There's rumors of it coming to Indianapolis at some point. So if it does come to Indy, I'll definitely go to that one or anywhere near Wisconsin. I'm looking forward to Survivor Series. That's my next big wrestling event outside of hopefully coming over to Kansas City in the next year. But next match on the Survivor Series card, we had Sheamus versus Ludwig Kaiser versus Braun Breaker. I love this match. You knew just from the talent involved that it was going to be so good. It was going to be an absolute banger, and it delivered. Braun Breaker retained the title, and I love that for him.
Yeah, it gives Braun some legitimacy now to be able to, defend that title against heavy hitters. And yeah, this was kind of like my surprise match of the night. I'm a big Wargames fan. Brett, always have been. Brett, I don't know how old you are. I'm 36, man. One of my favorite WCW like pay-per-views, because WCW always had the same pay-per-views every year. And one of my favorites, it was always in September. It was Fall Brawl War Games. And some of my favorite memories are there. Controversial. That was almost a banger to try and get out there. Controversial promos that actually rubbed Arn Anderson the wrong way. In 1997, Kevin Nash did a spoof of the Arn Anderson My Spot promo. If you've never seen it, go watch it. So Arn does this super over emotional promo with Kurt Hennig to give him the fourth spot or the fifth spot of the Four Horsemen team at War Games. And the following week, Conan, Buff Bagwell, Kevin Nash, Six, aka X-Pac, all dress up and this is crazy because the NWO did this before DX did. They dressed up to mock the Four Horsemen, and he mocked the My Spot promo. One of my favorite lines from it is not a spot on a liver, not a dog name spot, but my spot. So little wrestling trivia there for you.
You know
go ahead.
Oh no, I just thought this because you mentioned WCW, and the first WCW pay-per-view I ever saw happened to maybe be one of the worst. And I got into wrestling. I had to watch all the WCW stuff. On WWE Network, first ever full WCW pay-per-view. I decided to give it a try. 1998 Halloween Havoc. If anybody knows, if you know, you know, because they had a certain WrestleMania rematch that was beyond horrible, and the entire card just kind of went down with it. I'm talking Hogan versus Warrior.
Well, so man, I don't want to get too far off the course here, but for those that do know, in 1998, when you ordered that pay-per-view, because I'm sure it's fixed on the WWE Network or Peacock. In 1998, when you originally ordered that pay-per-view, the main event was supposed to be Bill Goldberg versus Diamond Dallas Page. Now, this was huge because this was the first time like WCW had their own main event that wasn't like an NWO guy versus a WCW guy. So this was a big deal. And these were two, Goldberg was their hottest guy, and it was Diamond who deserved it so much at that time. Diamond had just come off a stellar feud with Macho Man Randy Savage. They did a best of 3 series. Just amazing. If you get the time to go back and watch old WCW stuff, go back and watch DDP and Macho Man's 97 and 98 feud. It's bar none. Everybody talks about that stupid best of 7 with Benoit and Booker T. Don't get me wrong, like it's good, it's really good, but like the fact that Diamond Dallas Page and Randy Savage's 97-98 feud doesn't get talked about in the same conversation, it's weird to me, bro. Like I don't understand it, but it is what it is. I digress. I'm moving on. But this main event was hyped, and then Hogan, the whole pay-per-view took too long. So, and back then in pay-per-view, like you had time slots. If you didn't make your time slot, like they cut you off. And like that's a big deal because they paid a lot of money for pay-per-view. So at the end of the night, the main event is DDP versus Goldberg for the WCW title. That big main event I just hyped up, and it cuts out after like the first 10 minutes of the match, and people are livid. They're calling their cable companies and they're like demanding a refund. And so the next night, WCW had to issue an apology, and then they gave away that match for free that night on Nitro because the people who paid for the pay-per-view, it got cut off. And like, that's just insane to think about because yeah.
Yeah, the sad part is that was easily Goldberg's best match.
Probably.
I think up until that point, I think that was Goldberg's best match. I think he had more iconic. Like I'm thinking when he won the title, him.
Yeah, the Nitro against Hogan was pretty iconic.
I think that was more iconic, but I think technically speaking, that him versus DDP here may have been the best match he had. The jackhammer into the diamond cutter was an absolutely insanity spot. But thankfully it was fixed on the network, but I did try to imagine how mad I would be.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I would be livid if I paid $60 and the last match that I got to see fully was just Warrior and Hogan just bumbling around.
Yep.
Just so much unnecessary stuff on that pay-per-view.
So getting back on track, what I was going to say is that I love Wargames so much, and you got a pay-per-view, a premium live event, that it's got 2 of them, a women's and a men's. And this match for me, like I said, almost stole the show. So it was amazing. So
I say fully agree.
Yep.
And this
We walked around the moon to drop a dime.
Mm-hmm. This match made me so mad. It was a very good match, but it made me so mad. Gunther beats Damian Priest, but in order to get there, apparently we needed to, restart the Judgment Day versus Damian Priest feud that I was hoping would be over at this point. My biggest qualm was Survivor Series for both. Like, I guess technically the women's War Game match would be lumped into this as well. There's just some feuds that we restarted that they're just completely unnecessary. Rhea pinning Liv and then, I'm going to get the winner of Saturday night's main event. Like, do I really want to see another Rhea versus Liv match like so soon? Like, no, not really. I think that feud should have been over at Bad Blood, but we're continuing it. And then the same thing here. Finn Balor and Gunther. Like, Gunther absolutely smoked Balor when they actually faced each other in one-on-one. Very decisive victory, so I don't really have much interest in the rematch. No doubt it'll be a good match, but the decision to go right back to Balor and Priest, who I'm sure is going to cost Balor his title shot at Saturday night's main event, and just in general too, Liv and Rhea, not a fan of those choices. But overall, this was a good match with the right winner.
Yeah, I was very shocked to see, not shocked, I was anticipating how they were going to make Damian still look strong and then have Gunther win this. Because I didn't think that there was any chance that Damian was going to win. And I was also, I don't hate it, but I kind of agree. I kind of feel like I feel like all of 2024 has been Judgment Day versus versus
Priest and Rhea.
Damian and Finn is what I mean. Yeah, the Judgment Day versus Rhea and Damian. Apologize. So I don't know, man. It's been a good feud. I kind of agree with you. I kind of feel like, I kind of feel like, we were looking like we were moving on to something different, and we haven't. So
yeah, after whatever Finn and all them wrestle each other again, after that, I need them to be like on separate brands for the next decade at this point. Like, but the main event of Survivor Series, this absolutely lived up to the hype. It was an absolute banger. I love this picture. Our OG Bloodline beat the new Bloodline in an absolute banger. People jumping off the cage left and right. Shout out Bronson Reed. He tried a tsunami off the top of the War Game structure. That is wild for a guy his size. Jacob Fatu is an absolute animal. I thought this match absolutely delivered. Chase, what did you think about this one?
The overall, like, I could talk about the overall event. I thought it was good. I thought it was very good. Especially, I kind of feel like Survivor Series has been, had become lackluster. They used to consider Survivor Series one of the big four. WrestleMania, Survivor Series, SummerSlam, Royal Rumble used to be the big five when they had King of the Ring, but I digress. Let me get off my lawn phase. But in the past, few years, Survivor Series has become lackluster. Then, they incorporate War Games into Survivor Series, and I feel like it's starting to become part of the big four again. It doesn't feel like the ugly little cousin. And I kind of got a little worried with that this year because of, Bad Blood kind of felt like a big deal show, right? They made a lot of hype into the Bad Blood event, brought in the fancy cameras with the promos, and brought in They used a hip hop artist. I forgot who it was.
Yeah, that was
Future?
Metro. That's Metro
Right.
Boomin.
So yeah, they brought in Metro. You know, like I said, they tried to make Bad Blood seem like a big deal. And I was like, does that mean they're gonna kind of, you know, digress on making Survivor Series feel that way? But they didn't. And you know, I was very happy with it this year. I've been happy with it the past couple of years. Again, I talked a big whole mess about Wargames and how I feel about that. I thought this was overall a great show that they put together. And the only thing I think that would have made this better, and for obvious reasons, you know, like it's stuff out of their control, is would have loved to have seen The Rock come out and make more gestures toward Roman, kind of signaling where we're going here for WrestleMania 41.
Yeah, no, I think I agree with that. I think it'll tie into the story. I think the fact that I feel like it'll mean something that he came out for Cody and Roman, but not the Punk and Bloodline team. I feel like that'll incorporate in the future, but I'm really curious what the favor for Paul Heyman and CM Punk. Punk says Heyman owes him a favor. I'm curious where they go with that. I think that'll be very interesting also. And I'm so happy that they brought back Heyman when they did, and he got that thunderous reaction. That was absolutely fantastic.
Oh yeah,
just a true goat on the microphone. Yeah, honestly, I haven't been this excited for a really Survivor Series since 2014. 2014, you know, they had Team Cena versus Authority. Their debut of Sting was absolutely terrific. And yeah, it just kind of lost all of its hype. For a while, I even thought that I would replace Survivor Series and the Big Four with Money in the Bank. But no, they've done a really good job these past few years rebuilding it, and I'm looking forward to next year. I'm looking forward to see how they, do the build next year. I love how they just take their time and slowly build on this stuff throughout the year. So, but Survivor Series, 10 out of 10. Loved it.
Yeah, I you know what, Brett? I'm gonna gripe for a minute. I hate when people say 10 out of 10. I hate it. It bugs the ever-loving crap out of me. You know why? Because now, Brett, now that you just called Survivor Series a 10 out of 10, there's nothing better. You can stop watching wrestling. It's perfect. Do you watch Dave Portnoy's One Bite Everybody Knows Rules, like his One Bite Pizza reviews?
I've seen some of them.
Dave is the perfect philosopher as far as like a rating system goes. Like a 7.5, that's a really, really good rating. And he says the same thing. Like, I can't score something a 10. He was like, because then after a 10, you've had the perfect pizza. You can't eat pizza anymore. It's over after that. It's the same thing. So
no, that's fair. I definitely would probably, if I was, since it's wrestling, we got to use the good old fashioned 5-star Meltzer rating system. I would say this was a good, I would say it was probably a good, 3.5, 4-star event. I think it's only really brought down a little by the fact that I do think that the heel team in the beginning should have won, and I hate Finn interfering in the Damian match. But overall, all the matches were great. All the stories they wanted to tell, I think they told just very well. So
I'll go 3. I'll go 3.25. 3.25. It was a very solid event. Like you said, the kind of the recycling of the storylines that I thought Survivor Series will be a good opportunity to kind of maybe plant new seeds, kind of, look towards what WrestleMania season is going to look like. And unfortunately, with Judgment Day and Rhea and Dan, we're kind of doing the same thing that we've been doing for over half a year, which doesn't feel very Paul Levesque-ish. It feels very Vince McMahon-ish. So those also plus, I mean, yeah, three and a quarter. That's a review.
Yeah, say we're in the same
That's a
ballpark.
review.
3.5, 3.25.
One match, everybody knows the rules. No, I can't say that. One event, everybody knows the rules.
Oh yeah, for sure. And hey, listen, if I gave an award for the most improved wrestler of the year, I think, Nia Jax would have a very strong case to win it. She's been great ever since she came back. She's been very much improved. But I have to throw this out there too. She threw out some of the worst chair shots you'll ever see. Like, I haven't seen worse chair shots than that since Hogan in WCW when he was love tapping people with chairs at times.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so you got to give credit where credit's due, but sometimes there's some bad things that you just can't overlook. And to me, that was the one thing that brought down the women's match. Was just I'm watching Nia just walk around love tapping people with chairs. I'm like, you got to make me believe it a little more than that. But and we've actually followed up Survivor Series with arguably what some people are calling maybe one of the best Raws of the year too. So, we got to talk about that. Monday night, we kicked off with the best in the world, CM Punk, interrupted by Seth Rollins. We got a brawl and then a banger. Overall, this entire segment, we saw Jey Uso and then Sami Zayn and Seth Rollins got into it. We set up Seth Rollins versus Sami Zayn later in the night. I thought this entire setup was great. It gave us a WrestleMania 41 preview potentially with Rollins and Punk. It set up a great match and a great main event for the night. What did you think about this whole opening segment with Punk Rollins and everybody else?
I thought it was a great way to kick off the show, and kind of some of the things, the negative things, so to speak, that we talked about of Survivor Series, of them kind of refreshing storylines. Raw did a great job of kind of kicking off new ones. And I get that, Punk and Rollins maybe isn't necessarily new, but it is something that I think we've kind of anticipated seeing, and we're not necessarily robbed, but we were kind of neglected of seeing that feud. So I loved it, and I loved how it kind of drug out throughout the night, and we can talk about that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I felt a little, it's one of those things that we were robbed. There's nothing that we can do about, being robbed of this match at, Mania 40 with the injuries, to Punk. But yeah, it did feel like we were robbed of that match earlier in the night. And thankfully, hopefully, that next year, Mania 41, we right the ship. They've been doing great, like sprinkling the feud in here and there throughout the year to make sure we didn't forget about it. And, last night, it really felt like it felt like, they're doing it again. They're kind of giving it to us. And I think the only question about this feud to me is last year it was going to be for a world title. This next year, do you think they find a way to put the world title on Punk or Rollins and give them a world title match? Or do you think this is a feud that you don't need a world title for it?
No, you don't need a world title for it, and they'll incorporate it. They'll incorporate that, into the feud. I already gave my solid prediction, unless something crazy happens. Is, like I said, my LA Knight and Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. I'm right. I'm taking that to the bank, Gardy.
Oh, fair enough. I also want to shout out, by the way, I'm glad that Bronson Reed's apparently okay after jumping off the cage. I was worried after that landing when he landed on both of his feet. I thought he was going to be out a while, but...
Do you know how long? Because I think they did say he is injured, isn't he?
Yeah, but I think they only said that he was going to be out like weeks. I think I heard weeks. And the way he landed that, I really thought he was going to be out months after. but it doesn't sound like it was as bad as I thought. But maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But you know what? Yeah. Liv and Raquel Rodriguez versus Damage Control, and a run in after by guess who? Rhea Ripley to tell us she's gonna get the winner of Saturday night's main event. Fine match once again. Recycling stories, and like even your best feuds have a shelf life, and I think this one expired at Bad Blood, or some people would argue even sooner.
Yeah, that I agree. I think the idea behind this is they want to do something for Saturday night's main event. They want to have it, they want to kind of do something special for it, which is fine. It's understandable. The only issue I have with it is, if you wanted to save it for Saturday night's main event, you should have made Saturday night's main event in late October or early November. So,
no, yeah, for sure. I'm glad they brought back Saturday night's main event. That's great. And our women's intercontinental title, which they announced on main event. I do love that it's here and it's happening. Dakota Kai ends up, picking up the win in this triple threat match. And I love that. I think Dakota Kai is insanely talented. She's one of those ladies that just unfortunately had bad injury luck for a while, but she's healthy now, and it looks like she's getting a nice push, and I think it is well overdue and well deserved.
Yeah, agreed. I've always been a huge fan of Dakota Kai. I thought it was awesome when she kind of broke away from Tegan Nox and was kind of doing her own thing. I kind of wish that Tegan would have worked out as well, because I was a huge fan of both of them. But no, I mean, this is a great opportunity, and it's nice to see WWE using kind of alternate singles titles for the women competitors. The only thing I wish is I wish we got some creativeness, a women's intercontinental title where it looks the exact same as the intercontinental title. That's just me. I'm just weird. I like championships, so I would just like to see different championships. Doesn't have to be something that's, so gentrified, like a butterfly title or a sun daisy title or something like that, but just something besides an intercontinental title, because I knew exactly what they were going to do, which was make the intercontinental title, but with a white strap or, whatever, like they did with the women's world heavyweight and the WWE women's title. Like I said, just would like to see some creativeness from the designing team there at WWE. But I'm super excited that we've got, like I said, more singles titles for the women.
I completely agree with that too about title designs. Like, if you're not going to give me like the creative stages like you used to, at least give me creative titles that aren't like the same with two different straps.
Yeah.
Or just ugly. Like, remember when the tag team titles looked like two walking pennies? Like,
yep.
It wasn't great. So if you're not going to give me the awesome custom stages, like, at least give me creative titles that I can see on TV.
I would love for them to start running. I don't want to talk about this next one. I don't want to talk about it at all. I'm not a big fan on like the custom stages. I guess I'm just kind of like, as I'm getting older, Brett, I'm getting more simple. Like give me the Madison Square Garden, the old little walkout doors.
No,
and that's it.
No, that's fair.
Maximize seating and maximize profits. That's the Booker and me talking.
Oh, that's fair. I completely get it. I get why they do what the smaller stages, and I'm here for it.
Yeah,
I'm here for it. But unfortunately, we kind of have to do this. We had a heel turn last night Big E came back to announce he was going to manage the New Day until Kofi and Xavier said no and effectively kicked him out of the New Day.
Yeah, man. I'm trying to think of the exact wording because I don't want to screw this up, but I mean something to the effect of you abandoned us. You broke your neck. It's your fault. Bro, that was wild.
Yeah.
I told my wife and anybody who would listen, I said, hey, like, this is gonna make me cry. Like this is breaking my heart. And she's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, this is breaking my heart. I don't want to watch this.
I came close watching it after, like, as I make sure to catch up on all my wrestling after work, and I avoided all the spoilers. So I saw this and I was close. I was like, come on. Every time I love Big E. My grandma might be the biggest Big E fan I know. So, I've grown really attached to Big E. So to see him get treated like that, I'm like, nah, I can't do that to Big E, man. He's too good. Which, honestly, us having this much emotion tells you how great the segment was and how good these guys are at what they do. But
yeah,
that it was hard to watch. It was hard to, fathom. And I feel like the only direction here with the New Day is tag champs. You turned them heel in this big move. I feel like they're now focused, and I feel like you're looking at your next tag champs. I feel like they're going to be the ones to throw Judgment Day, unless you really don't want to do a heel versus heel faction. Then you can pass the titles along to someone else to be a transition champ, but it feels like they're coming and they're going to win it soon.
Yeah, in all seriousness, I mean, it was something that was something that was needed as a refresher because it's been 10 years. I think you shared, maybe you didn't, I don't remember who did. Somebody shared something on social media where it shows like every 10 years, the past 10 years, WWE has split up like a beloved stable. 2004, Evolution, 2014, The Shield, 2024, the New Day. It's all fine. It's all nice in theory and memes, right? Those other teams weren't together for 10 years. Like, that's what's crazy about this, is that New Day had been together for 10 years. And so, when you think about them splitting up, but I mean, it was the right call. This is the rejuvenation that they need every once in a while. A wrestler or a tag team or whatever needs to refresh and reinvent themselves almost. I hate using the term reinvent because they didn't completely knock away New Day. They still are New Day, but they're just New Day with a different twist, different style.
Yeah, well, for sure. Yeah, that was absolutely stunning, to say the least, and I'm looking forward to it. I remember being devastated when the Shield broke up, and now the New Day breaks up, and I couldn't handle that one too well. We'll see what happens in 2034. New bloodline, count your days. But we'll see. And up Gunther versus Dirty Dom. I just want to briefly touch on this one because it was a good match. But I thought it was interesting that now Dirty Dom was getting cheered yesterday. He was the one. There were Dirty Dom chants. Do you think that eventually, do you think he's winning the crowd over? Are we going to get the Dom face to run eventually? Do you think that's coming soon? Or
I don't think it's coming soon because I think it's I do think that it's it wasn't foreseen. Or not that it wasn't foreseen, it wasn't planned. I shouldn't say it wasn't foreseen because it kind of was. I mean, you've given this kid you put him in a position that has all the tools around him for him to be successful. And what is the big internet gripe, Brett? Because the internet gripes are what kind of like fuels the wrestling community, right?
Yeah.
But what was the internet gripes? Oh, he didn't go to NXT. Oh, he sucks. He's horrible. He's got go away heat. Do you know, I'm going to name off some people who had go away heat when they first started. JBL. When JBL was turned from Bradshaw to the JBL character, and he was immediately pushed into the title scene, he had go away. The company had guys like Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, Kurt Angle. Is my internet bad?
Oh, I can hear you.
Okay. My screen started glitching, so. But in that time, you know, that's all the talent they had on SmackDown. And then you take JBL and you thrust him into the title scene and have him beat Eddie Guerrero. At first, JBL had go away heat. And then he got cool guy heat. That's what happens, man. Sometimes WWE will bring us people, and the internet wrestling community, those guys that armchair quarterback that think they know more about the business than the wrestlers. And, you know, we've all done it before. They'll go, oh, Daniel Bryan deserves it. Ugh, God, I can't believe they had Bradshaw win the title before Kurt Angle. The Miz. Are you kidding me? Shelton Benjamin is a technician inside those ring ropes, and they've got the Miz. Ugh, what is going on? The reality TV star is going to win the WWE title? The Miz had go away heat until he didn't. Until you made him so horrible, and you it. So like you just need to accept it. And some guys are really good at it. And John Bradshaw Layfield are really, really good at it. And I guess what we found out in this long drawn out explanation that I'm giving you, Brett, is that Dominic was really, really good at it, because Dominic had everybody in the internet wrestling community up in arms. Oh my God, he skipped NXT. He's only in that position because of who his dad is. He can't wrestle. He's boring. He can't cut a promo. He can't do this. He can't do that. And they're piping in noise. Remember, they're piping in those.
They were so convinced that they were piping in crowd noise for Dom.
No, the people couldn't wait to hate on him so much. And then with the way social media is today, he never breaks character. He keeps up that character. That interview he did with Chris Van Vliet, you put him with the hottest female on the WWE roster, Rhea Ripley, and then you turn around and you put him with the second hottest female on the WWE roster, in Liv Morgan, and eventually you think everybody's still not going to think he's the cool bad guy? Come on, guys.
I will give
it's wash, rinse, repeat. Like we the internet wrestling fans will sit here and just dissect and rip apart these guys, and then come to find out when they finally get an opportunity to embrace that character that we hate, that we can't stand because he got the opportunity over the guy that deserved it, or he's not a good bad guy. He's a really bad guy that we want go away eat. Then they lean into it, and John Bradshaw Layfield was such a bad heel. He was such a bad heel. He was cool, bro. What?
Yeah.
What? Are you kidding me? John Bradshaw Layfield was such a cool. Look at what John Bradshaw Layfield is doing on the indies now. Like, you've got tens of thousands of little wrestling nerds like just going haywire because John Bradshaw Layfield shows up as the last outlaw, clotheslines people and leaves. And that's what he's doing on the indie scene right now in TNA and in GCW. What? Did you think you were ever going to see John Bradshaw Layfield in GCW?
No, my favorite indie talent, JBL, I never thought I'd say that.
Yeah.
I thought he was a WWE, for life guy, and
Yeah.
he still is. I know he's still under a Legends contract, but to see him all of a sudden going through the indies was something I never thought.
Yeah. The Miz is still everybody. I mean, when he's a good guy, people love cheering him, but you know what? People love booing him just as much because they love how much of a bad guy he is. That guy, little internet wrestling, the little internet wrestling nerds like us couldn't wait for him to get eaten alive because he didn't earn his spot in that locker room. That he wasn't, he wasn't a technical catch can, wrestling machine like Kurt Angle, Shelton Benjamin, Daniel Bryan.
See, I think I would be a terrible booker because I'd probably look to troll too much. So yeah. I'd be like, "Oh, you hate them? They're getting the biggest push of your life."
I mean, but
sometimes it works, right?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Was you look at guys like that, like JBL, that when JBL's character first when he popped up, when he stopped being Bradshaw, the big, like the hardcore Texan, and became John Bradshaw Layfield, we were like, okay, cool. But again, the SmackDown roster was killing it with Eddie Guerrero as champion, Kurt Angle, Rey Mysterio. You had all these guys in the locker room that could be the potential next challenger to Eddie Guerrero, and you picked John Bradshaw Layfield.
I will give.
And then he goes and wins the title. But again, it was one of those things where when they stuck the course and they said, "Hey, like, we know we have something with this guy," and that guy was able to kind of let loose a little bit. Like I said, John Bradshaw Layfield became one of the top heel guys.
Oh yeah, absolutely, for sure. Dom is the only guy too I've ever seen go turn heel while he's already a heel. What they did at SummerSlam was impressive, and I think I even said live on the watch along I was doing the most. Like, I've never seen somebody pull off a heel turn as a heel, but Dom somehow did it, and I respect it.
Yep.
And then, of course, we ended off Raw with the return of Drew McIntyre. Seth Rollins had just beat Sami Zayn with the most devastating move in all the sports entertainment, the surprise roll-up. Sammy and him stared each other down, then Claymore. Drew McIntyre's back, and somebody attacked Jey Uso earlier. It's implied that it was Drew McIntyre. Are we having Drew McIntyre attack? He's attacked Sammy. He's attacked Jey. Do you think this possibly building up another Drew and Roman feud, the rematch?
It could possibly. I think I wouldn't be shocked if it was drawn up for more Punk and Drew. I mean, I could see Drew kind of doing the same argument with Sami Zayn and Jey that Seth Rollins has, drummed up, that Kevin Owens has drummed up. I mean, why wouldn't you? It would be a massive continuity issue if you didn't, if Seth Rollins is not going to team with Sami Zayn and help Sami Zayn out, if Sami Zayn is rolling with Roman Reigns again after everything that Roman Reigns had done. It would only make sense that Drew would feel the same way about those guys with CM Punk. I mean, like I said, it would make sense. But then you kind of have to ask yourself, okay, with everything intertwined with the bloodline storyline, when is too much? Like, legit, Brett, I'll ask you. I mean, would you be okay with with every single story, not every single story, but the majority of the stories on Raw and SmackDown being intertwined into the bloodline story?
That'd probably be overkill at some point. I think it's fine what they're doing right now because of the way they've kind of balanced it out. And I'm guessing they'll start going away from it a little bit in the future. But yeah, that would be a bit too much if every single story was intertwined with the bloodline. So I see what you're saying for sure.
Yeah.
I'm just happy to see Drew back, and no matter who he faces, because arguably Drew McIntyre has a case for Wrestler of the Year, but for any company really. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. And then, of course, before we and we got 4 minutes. I'm really excited about this next week, Chase. Fountain City Pro watch along. What would you tell new viewers that are tuning into Fountain City Pro for the first time? What should they expect?
A good time. If you like wrestling, we try to provide live entertainment and throw pro wrestling into it on a smaller scale than what you see on TV. And if you like what you see and you don't live around Kansas City, I would encourage you to look up where the nearest independent wrestling promotion is around you and go show some support to that, and keep an eye out, because with this crazy world we live in, where the WWE ID developmental deal sticks out. AEW has always been super involved in indie wrestling and picking up indie wrestlers and putting them on TV and making them stars. With the crazy, how crazy that is. If you go to a local independent wrestling event, you never know, man. You might see a guy who calls himself Tyler Black, who later on goes on to be one of the biggest wrestlers in the world as Seth Rollins in WWE. Seth Rollins used to come through Kansas City all the time. Kyle O'Reilly used to come through Kansas City all the time. Eddie Kingston, guys like that, man, used to come through the Kansas City wrestling independent scene. And that's not just Kansas City, that's all around. Like I said, no matter where you live, go look up the independent wrestling scene and go check it out. You're not gonna pay $100. You're gonna pay way less, and for what you pay for, you're gonna get so much more bang for your buck. You're around hundreds of people as opposed to tens of thousands, so it's a little bit more intimate experience, with who you go with and the professional wrestling that you see. So that's what I would tell people that are watching Fountain City Pro for the first time.
I remember one of my favorite nights ever was at a indie wrestling event, because there was my local indie event was on the same day as the Bucks and Nets Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals back in 2021. So it was genuinely, everybody watched the event. We had a great time. And then right after, because the event was connected to a bar, the game was on. So we all watched the event. Then everybody just migrates into the bar to catch the end of that. And of course, the Bucks pulled it out 115 to 111. That's where Kevin Durant stepped foot on the line. And just interacting with the wrestlers and the owner and just all the fans in general, and then all migrating as it was just such a cool experience. Let's say, and then I did want to announce real quick. I got the next 4 weeks of shows planned out. Super excited to tell y'all what's coming up for Meaty Boys. Chase, if you want to come to any of these, you're more than welcome to hop on whenever. We'll see Chase again next week. We have the Wayward Son Watch Along, December 19th. It's going to be a regular show. We'll talk about the most recent, wrestling news. December 24th, the week of Christmas, the last show of the year. We're going to have a little fun, do a little Meaty Boys Awards show. Wrestler of the Year, Match of the Year. It's going to be a great time. And the first week of January, Netflix on Raw Watch Along. We'll do a special Monday night episode and do a watch along for Raw on Netflix. So those are just a little future glimpse of what we have for Meaty Boys. And Chase, if you ever want to hop on for any of those, you're more than welcome. And then that is all that we have for you guys today. Thanks again for tuning in, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of your night.